Attachment and suffering is something that I think they're both linked together pretty closely. So I find that the more you're attached to something, the more you're attached to a person, the idea of something, or an outcome that's yet to come. I think it creates suffering when that person disappears, or you don't get the desired outcome you were looking for. Just something just happens to whatever you're attached, and that creates a space for you to get hurt, and it leads to you suffering. Now, I'm not saying like being attached is a bad thing, but I think, being void of that attachment will help you suffer less. And of course, I think the biggest thing for me is how to be attached and still care. I think, it's something for you, like you got to figure out yourself, kind of dwell on it. And as you figure out how to be void of that attachment, you figure out how to show that care. Because, I think it's still important to, like, care for people and things. And, you don't want to just be a robot that just doesn't have any feelings. But I think there's a way you could go about it to where you could also care for them still, but not be so attached to the way like it'll cause you to suffer if something were to happen or not go the way you want. I think the lead cause of our suffering is our desires and attachment to things that really shouldn't be so much affecting us. I feel like they could be attachments to clothes, to lifestyle, to an outcome that you're like just hoping for, that you're working towards. And when that doesn't happen, I feel like it kind of like you beat yourself up over it for a long period of time sometimes. And I'm not saying this, don't have passion, don't have pursuits, because I think you definitely should, because if you don't have anything like you're passionate about, like you're pursuing, then I kind of think there's no growth there. Because I think that was the main struggle for me. It was just like, how did I figure out how to pursue things and not be so dependent on the outcome? In the grand scheme of things, these aren't your character. These aren't who you are. The things you attach yourself to aren't who you are. And so they shouldn't be affecting you when certain things happen and they disappear. And I think that's kind of important to look at. The certain things we romanticize end up getting us hurt. These desires, these things we cling to so much end up hurting us. Because what doesn't go our way or something happens, or we're so ambitious for these attachments, we're like, we need it so bad, we end up hurting other people instead. Because, we are attached to our success, only our success, when it comes to certain things. Our desires, they can lead to like sin, it's not, can't be too greedy, can't be too gluttonous and stuff. And I think, being attached to so many different things will leave room for you to be lustful, be just so involved by the world and the things that are about it, you kind of will lose yourself. But I think you should just look into like what you're attached to, and if it's serving you, if like if it's truly something like you want to be a part of. I think you'll find that the less you're attached to, the less suffering you will go through. And of course, you're gonna suffer. There's a. I'm not saying this will like alleviate all your suffering, but I'm sure it'll help minimize the pain you deal with and the things that go on and how they affect you. I think you'll be able to look at them in a different way and have a different understanding of them. And I think like a appreciation for them. Make a little pond here. I think that'd be pretty sick around this tree, maybe. But yeah, just see what you're attached to, see what you're giving yourself to, and see if it's serving you. I'm not saying this to not, you shouldn't care like about things. You definitely should care. I think it's important to be caring and like considerate still. I think you can find a balance between being like less attached to things and still caring. Because I think that was the biggest thing for me. Because like, how do I show that I care and just not be attached to where I get hurt or where it'll cause me to suffer? You're gonna get hurt like physically, maybe mentally. I think it's just about how you bounce back out of that. Really, I think to say you're never gonna, at least your body's gonna go through stuff. I think the one thing you have control of is your mind here, and that's really what this is about. Controlling your mind, because it's God given. He's given you the tools to have this dominion over your mind. You really, that's the only thing you own. Your body, like I guess it's yours for the time being. But God has given you it to serve a purpose here. Then I think once you serve that purpose, you end up leaving, And I think that's okay, you know. I think that's why you should, you know, live to serve that purpose, whatever it may be, or like whatever you think it is, you know. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you truly own is your mind, your soul. You know, this body has been given to you, and this is temporary. You know, it's not always gonna be here. You're not always gonna be here. So I think you can make the most of it. You know, just figure out what you're attached to and see, you know, like, is it causing you to suffer, and attach yourself less to it, and I think you'll find yourself to be freer of like a little weight lifted off your shoulders, because those things can no longer hinder you if you take away the power that they have to hinder you.